No, it looks fine.
Those are all my healing powders.
Oh, cool. Okay. All right, we're going to get started. Hi, everybody. We're doing this a little early this week, but I will be, playing this live on playing it on Wednesday for all you, of course. This is my dear friend Stacey. We had some time together in her yoga teacher training, which meant a lot to me to have time with her. And as part of the trainings that I offer, we often have potluck because we have some full days together. So I noticed during our potlucks that Stacey was bringing particularly excellent food, and that she was very well versed in how to cook vegan and vegetarian. And then she one day she just left me a little gift on the counter, and it was this little potion, this nice little drink. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on with you? What do you know about food? And it turns out she knows a great deal, and so does her husband. So I wanted to bring her into the series to share a little bit about some of the things that she makes and a little bit about her journey. She is also a wonderful therapist, and I thought it would be maybe prudent to mention that, while I struggle with food, there are people who have had to go really deep into food disorders and have had terrible suffering around this. And there are amazing people like Stacey who really do know how to help them to come out of it. And once I was actually, I was on a treadmill in the gym, and it was a new friend. I had just moved to this new area, and we were talking about food and losing weight and having babies, because we just had our second baby each. And I, kidding around, I said, well, I don't have the guts to be bulimic, and I'm not disciplined enough to be anorexic. And it was just like this joke. And she stopped walking and she said, I know you didn't mean that, but I have a very serious bulimia. I have bulimia, and it's been very serious in my life. And you really just don't know who you're talking to when it comes to that. This is a really big thing. And she was actually a therapist too. And I really did get to really talk with her more about that. But ever since then, I'm very sensitive to this is something that happens with women, and they have different levels of healing, different levels of dealing with it, and it's a lot more common than we realize, a lot more common than we even still talk about. So I did want to have a moment during the series where I opened this up to someone who does professionally often help people that way, and then I also wanted to, showcase how fantastic you are as a chef. Yeah. So what were your thoughts about what I just said, Stacey? I noticed your reaction.
A lot of compassion. Food is everywhere. It generally says yes when we're not feeling so great. It's a great way to gather with people, great thing to have when we gather with people. Food can be political, food can be celebratory, food is nourishing, it serves a lot of purposes. I find that myself, at least during these last few months, I've definitely been reaching for more nosh to comfort me while, blurring the lines between working at home and actually living at home, and dealing with the stress of having life kind of be turned upside down in some ways. So I have a lot of sensitivity for eating disordered behavior and eating disordered mind, and how much energy that takes. It takes a tremendous amount of will, energy, discipline, planning. It's a job.
Yeah. And to reprogram and to change all of that behavior, I think it takes a great deal of support. I have at different points in my life, I have entered into the ashram living, where I've gone away for a week so they could just live in an environment where the food is very clean and pure, and the food is very disciplined. And those times often help me to reset, myself, and to put things in perspective, But I haven't really done that in my, since moving to Baltimore. And I kind of feel like not having that kind of practice to go back to hasn't really ever allowed me to reset,
Mm-hmm.
until recently, where I do feel like I've been reset in some way. But can you guys? I'm gonna pause myself for a minute. Hold on a minute.
We have a bird and he's being so quiet. I'm really happy. He's usually screaming.
Okay, so I'm in my bedroom right now, and just a little update. I've had my meniscus repaired, and I am not happy. Like, I am not happy. The block wore off. I am taking my ibuprofen, whatever, but I can't get around, and I'm really annoyed. And believe it or not, I can't get my snacks. So
I'll be right over.
tell you, like, someone brought me a thing of cherries, and I'm like, well, thanks. I'm just gonna eat these cherries, but like, I'm at the mercy of whoever wants to bring me something, and I have this strange, like, walker thing, and I'm like, I can't get a bowl of berries and then go to the couch. So now I have this basket on the walker. Anyway, the lengths I will go to make sure I have a little snack to be happy has become very obvious in the last 24 hours. So I'm at my sister's here, thank goodness, and just adjusting to all of this. So it is a good distraction to do this today.
Good, good. Happy to help in any way.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So back to what we're talking about. Um, I just wanted to ask you, if I'm a more serious place, when you do have someone come in and you're starting to get the feeling that maybe the food is a bigger issue than just, what we normally are putting up with in our lives as women, right? Just that it's escalated. What is something kind of simple that you might start with? A very simple thing you might start with in terms of encouraging them to get more help with that.
Oh, the simple thing, my mind goes to the deep thing, which is let's go to your inner child work after we get to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
But something simple that I would do would help somebody become embodied through the senses. Is very easy grounding technique. Feeling your back on the couch. Can you hear my voice? Do you feel the breeze from the fan? You've put on some lotion. Can you smell that? Let's take a minute and feel your breath coming in and out the way it usually does, normal pace. Just be right here, right now. And so
Yeah.
getting people in their bodies and then adapting to sensations they may feel. They might want to run. They might not want to sit with me and be quiet because there's so much noise on the inside. So I think that learning gradually to become embodied is really, really important, because from that place we can make more conscious choices and take better care of ourselves. Notice when we're hurting. Notice that we may need something else besides food, and inviting that in gradually. It's a very gradual choice. The movement has to be slow because eating disorder behavior has generally been going on for some time.
Right.
So it's a habit.
Right.
If we tried to break a habit, it takes a little bit. So just,
Yeah.
not punishing ourselves if it doesn't go the way we want it to. Just making a little promise to ourselves every day and keeping it is
Yeah.
how things change.
Well, that's a beautiful thing to think about that way. I have really, one of the reasons why I love yoga is because I am very vata. I am very creative and out there. And for some people, they do yoga and they kind of go out of body. But yoga for me brings me into my body, and it allows me to really, and even more so dancing in the last year, I really feel that powerful, sensual energy of being alive. And as a sensitive person, I think my senses became kind of overloaded by being sensitive to others. But learning how to be in my body, I became sensual to myself. And I began to use my senses to experience the world as a place that delights me and as a place I can be creative through. And one thing I noticed one day, it was just this sweet connection I made one day. And it was, if I am not embodied, then I am not here. And if I'm not here, then I'm not safe. So it was like this moment in my head where I thought, you are present, you are safe. Because if you're present, you will know what to do. You will know what to do. If you can stay with the feeling and stay where you are and become aware of the moment, then you haven't vacated the premises. I realized I was not sometimes safe, or sometimes I was anxious because I wasn't even there. And I think having children also kind of really brought me into that part of my body too. And a lot of the eating that I do that I don't like is about not being embodied, not even noticing it. Lately, I've been working with someone, pretty weekly, and it's been great. And I've been writing everything down, which isn't a practice I particularly liked in the past. But right now, I really like it because I am embodied when I write down what I'm eating. When I don't know what I'm eating, I'm not embodied. Somebody else is eating it, and nobody's enjoying it. So do you have something maybe to say about that?
Well, I remember my trauma teacher telling me, or telling us in our training, about that food journaling can be shaming. But when you bring the aspect of consciousness to it, which increases our awareness of what we're up to, not in a way that's loving,
Yeah.
and that it's inviting, and not that's in a way that's shaming. You have to do that. Nothing hard-edged. We've got to be really gentle when we're healing, because we're not gentle when we're actively not taking care of ourselves.
That's right. And this isn't even, they're not even looking at my food journal to see what I'm not eating right at all in the experience I'm in. But because I do know how to cook beautifully and I am more supported, often my conversations with this woman, she's like, what is that? What did you make? And I'm like, oh, it's this great recipe. But I have been noticing that I'm very proud of the things I eat and the things I'm making as well. So the journaling isn't the same kind of feeling for me because I am using basically so many good ingredients. And I'm not eating, I'm just not eating bad things, not even bad things. I'm just eating things that are really high quality. So,
You're nourishing yourself.
What'd you say?
You're nourishing yourself instead.
I'm nourishing myself. And you also carry this. You walk in the door. There's nothing about food that seems like it's bad. Like, you carry that. Like, you're just like, wait till you try this. So, what are some of the things we're going to explore with you today? What did we decide? What did we decide on?
Well, our menu today turned out to be heavy on the liquids, which is great because it's super hot out today.
Yeah.
And it's going to be getting hotter and we need to hydrate. So a couple of the things are one thing I'm going to make that is useful in both of the other drinks. We'll make 3 drinks and then we'll make a nosh. And all of these things that comprise the recipes are readily available. Substitutes are pretty easy to do. I imagine that I will be able to leave my contact information if anybody has any questions about the recipes. Yeah. Don't hesitate, it's okay. Learning to substitute is sort of a lifelong, enjoyable, investigative process full of curiosity. So I encourage you to approach these things that we're going to imbibe with a lot of openness, curiosity, realize that we're hydrating the body, that we're eating plant-based. I'm vegan, so I like to make plant-based food, but you could certainly add any kind of animal product to any of this that I'm making. For instance, the first thing I was going to do is make a nut milk. So nut milks are hugely popular now. You can find them in all different compositions. There's, almond milk and soy milk are probably the most popular. There's rice milk. You can make milk. I grabbed all these nuts that are not my family.
So great. I wish I was in your kitchen right now. I wish I could just smell all the cool things you got in jars. I'd just be opening them up and putting my nose in all the jars.
Well, you can make milk out of pumpkin seeds. You can make milk out of sunflower seeds. You can also make cheese out of both of these too. I think my favorite milk is out of hazelnuts, and these are all raw. So you want to make your milk out of nuts that are not toasted. Hazelnuts make divine milk. It has a little bit of a stronger flavor, but it is awesome. Pecans make a really nice milk too. Almonds, of course. So all these raw nuts, and it's good to keep a lot of them in the fridge or the freezer because they're oily and they can get rancid if you don't use them rather quickly. So it's good to keep them chilled.
Okay.
So
And
actually today,
so you get the organic nuts from Costco?
I don't get a lot of organic nuts. I usually get regular nuts, but
Okay.
they're not in the dirty dozen in terms of foods to eat.
Okay.
Almonds, there's a bit of a thing about almonds, you know, using a lot of water to grow the trees. So people are sort of moving away from that a little bit, but it's still the most readily available. And it's all, you know, most of these are pretty neutral. As I mentioned, the hazelnut has a bit of a stronger flavor. The sunflower seeds may have a stronger flavor, but the others, they're pretty mild. And you mix them with strawberries, bananas, chocolate, anything that you like in your regular milk, you can add to these. I sweeten them with either a little bit of stevia or a date, or you can leave them unsweetened. The great news about this is that, well, the recipe is usually 1 cup of nuts to 4 cups of water, but you can certainly reduce the amount of water, get a creamier milk, or even a cream.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's very, very flexible. Pinch of salt is nice. So actually today, I soaked cashews. So cashews make a really nice creamy milk. You don't have to soak the nuts quite as long. Why do we soak the nuts, you ask? Well, nuts, like seeds that grow outside, have a protective barrier around them so they're not germinating all over the place. They need to be soaked to remove sort of the outer coating that prevents them from germinating. So we get rid of that. I've soaked these for about 4 hours. The water's a little cloudy. So I'm going to strain them and I'm going to put them in the blender. I use a Vitamix. It's pretty strong, but you can use pretty much any blender. We'll chew these up. The nuts are soft when they've been soaked. I'm going to drain these and rinse them. So I just use, you know, regular strainer, pour it out. I guess I should turn you, huh? This is not the Food Network, hon. Let's see where.
Great. I know. We next series we'll get more cameramen in there.
Draining nuts. And one of the other things that I started getting into this pretty heavily, I guess, maybe around 2007, I started getting into nut milks and juicing veggies and fruits and just really wanting to eat more cleanly. I was a baker. I had a bakery for many years. I was, ate a lot of stuff, licked a lot of bowls, and wanted to eat more cleanly. So I went, greenish. So one thing I got was, and you don't have to use this, it's another gadget, but you can absolutely use a strainer. I use a nut milk bag, which sort of looks like something you might wash your bras in. It's really fine mesh, and all of the liquid comes out when you grind it in the blender. And then you have this awesome nut pulp left that you can do all kinds of great stuff with. But first things first.
Okay.
So we have here we go. We have our blender with some water, and it's a little bit less water than I usually use because the recipe that I'm going to make for you also has a super special thing in it. Bonnie, you're going to love what that is because you gave it to me. So we'll get to that in a second.
Oh, okay.
All right, and so this may be a bit noisy, and for that I apologize, but it's got a big motor and it's going to grind it. So we'll flip this on. And this thing probably has a motor that you could mow the lawn with, so it doesn't take a lot, but doesn't make a lot of noise. But if you feel like investing in yourself and you use a blender a lot, smoothies, banana ice cream, any of that stuff, it's a wonderful investment. You can usually find them on sale.
Yeah, I don't know anyone who's just their Vitamix. Once they learn how to use it,
Oh, we make soups in it. We make all kinds of wild stuff in it. They have other pitchers. You can grind your own grains. We've been doing a little bit of that. It was hard to find certain kinds of flours during the pandemic, so we would just get the grains and grind them up in the flour.
Yeah, like almond flour. You can make almond flour.
That's one of the things that I do with the pulp. So what's happening right now is I poured it into the bag,
Wow.
it out, and it looks like real life milk, right?
Yeah, it does.
It's pretty good.
That looks really good.
You can make it thicker and make ice cream with it. You can use, I forgot to mention, you can use oats. Oat milk is the new black, right?
I like oat milk a lot, actually. It's lovely.
Wonderful.
Good. Yeah.
People are allergic to nuts. It's a real godsend, and you can make ice cream with it. You can make all kinds of stuff with it. It's awesome. Okay, so it's squeezed out most of the water, and I have this this lovely pulp. Now, if you don't want to invest in one of these bags, which you don't have to, you can also pour the milk through the strainer, and the solids will stay in the strainer, and you'll have them.
Okay.
So you can toss the solids, or I freeze them, and then I dry them out and grind them into flour.
You ground them in flour, and
Yeah.
you take them from the freezer and you can make the flour from it.
So I usually have a dehydrator because I invested in all these gadgets years ago, but you can do it on a low heat in the toaster oven. You just don't want to toast them. You want to dry them. So you may need to sort of move them around the pan a little bit so they don't toast or burn. And then you throw them in the blender and grind them up, or a food processor, whatever you have.
Okay.
So we have our milk. And I'll show you this special thing before we make the Bonnie related special thing. We'll do another special thing. And that's
First of all, I just want to say it's so good to see you. I really missed you.
I love you. I'm glad to see
I'm
you.
just really enjoying watching you in your kitchen. It's fantastic.
Well, it's
Okay,
awesome to be here. It's awesome to be here. When people come over, we usually spend a lot of time in here.
I know, I can understand why.
Everybody's just noshing and stirring and, feeding their faces and having a good time. So here's this really groovy project. My daughter's laughing at me. Love you. This is this cool stuff I found. It's called Dandy Blend.
Wow.
It is, I got it at Mom. You can get it at Whole Foods. You could probably get it online, maybe a little cheaper. A bag like this costs about $12, but it makes over 50 drinks.
Wow.
Very economical. So this is dried dandelion weed, like the stuff that grows in your front yard, but without pesticides. It's non-GMO, it's kosher. It's really awesome. If you are of a certain age, you might remember Sanka.
Yeah.
The decaf coffee, it looks like Sanka. So what I like to do, because I don't do coffee anymore, it was speeding me up too much. So it looks like this. Can you see that?
Yeah, a little higher.
Like brown.
Yep, we see it now.
So I just do a nice heaping spoonful in a glass. And I'm going to go grab some water. So I'm going to grab some water. And you can make it as strong or weak as you like. I like mine a little stronger. And you just stir it. The stuff dissolves instantly. And then I like to pour in some milk I made earlier. And just, if you like a nice iced coffee, you can just load it with milk, however light you like it.
Yep.
Stick some ice in there. And
some stevia.
And you're ready. It's divine. It's so good. And
the one thing I like about you is when you substitute something, you're not kidding. Like, you're pretty good at knowing what it used to taste like because you were a baker, right? So like, that's gonna be satisfying for someone who's trying to get off coffee.
It is awesome. And I used to drink coffee when I was baking to reduce my appetite because I was eating a lot of muffins, and that was not a good thing for me when I was working 90-hour weeks. I had to have energy, and flour just weighed me down. So I would drink a coffee, and then my heart started doing this. So I got off coffee, found this stuff. And I find that substitutions are really about slowing down, taking a minute. What's the taste I'm looking for? Maybe I can try that. And I'll tell you about a substitution I made in our food thing when we get to that. Okay. But if you want to sweeten this, you can use this. This is a really good stevia from Trader Joe's. It's plain. Or if you're feeling a little more adventuresome, this company, Sweet Leaf, makes all kinds of really great flavored stevias. This one is English toffee, and it smells divine. And you only need, pardon me, a teeny weeny bit. And they sell those at Mom, I think, too. So you just need a little bit, throw some ice in, and you're there.
Wow. It's like watching an alchemist right now. Like, drop.
So
Awesome.
Those are our first two recipes, and they have in common the almond milk. So I'll show you the third.
And when you use dandelion is really good for inflammation, isn't it? So like, you're doing the opposite of what coffee usually does. because
Yes.
you're going in the opposite direction of the acidity, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't act like a diuretic like coffee does. Dandelion, like cilantro, like parsley, super good for the liver, astringent, purifying, really good for you. Whether you eat it, juice it, make wine out of it, dandelion's pretty great.
And then what else do you use that powder for besides the coffee? Do you use it in anything else?
If I want to flavor a dessert, a coffee flavor, I would put that in instead of espresso powder. I like to make a smoothie, a chocolate smoothie with bananas and the milk and cacao, and I'll put some of that in for mocha flavor. So
Okay, wow, great.
it's
Ooh,
wonderful.
yum, yum.
It's
And you could
terrific.
make that mocha too, you said, by adding the cacao.
Dandy blend.
Any blend, love it.
It smells good. It's a joyful product. I just love it.
Yeah,
Okay, and
great.
I'm not invested in them, so it's not a sales.
Yeah, no, no.
So the next thing to make is our third drink. So I'm washing out our blender. And this is, so I found this lady, I was telling Bonnie about this lady that I found who makes these wonderful tonics using Ayurvedic herbs.
Can we just back up for a second? So the word tonic actually, it means something, and it reminds me of something from like the turn of the century, you know, like the idea of, you know, the apothecary and the tonic. But when you use the word, what does it mean to you? The word tonic, when, you know, what does it mean to you?
Healing,
Healing.
taking time to alchemize things together, to mix them together. Many of the herbs that I learned about through the practice of making tonics, they're Chinese, they're used in Chinese medicine, they're Ayurvedic, they all have a specific purpose. They can work well together or apart. Some of them are adaptogenic, which means if you're feeling sort of sluggish, they may give you a lift, not like a caffeinated lift, but very gentle. Or if you're feeling sort of, you know, a little bit too energetic, they will help to mellow you out. Not flat, but just it's very gentle, almost imperceptible.
Right.
So
So they kind of come into the system in a supportive way to just help you feel more balanced, right?
yes, they were for ailments and in the different cultures, and we use them today similarly to help ourselves relax, to help improve circulation, to help calm the nervous system. You know, there are many. I would never profess to know much of anything, but I do have a really good glossary if you want me to share that with you.
Yeah, well, show us this one. I mean, I think that just your tonics are, you know, a whole day.
So I went ahead and made an executive decision, and I'm not making the one that I made for you, which had all this cool stuff in it, but you have to sort of, you don't have to, but you can go down the rabbit hole with getting all the different powders. So I'm making a creamy hibiscus tonic using the leaves that you gave me last year.
Oh my gosh, you still have them.
Oh yeah, we made a big jug of tea with them, and we had
those hibiscus leaves come from Patricia, actually.
Were they from Egypt?
Yeah. What?
Were they from Egypt?
I think that they were from Egypt. They were from somewhere really beautiful and special. But yeah, but she got them for me. Yeah. So go ahead. I can't wait to see this.
Awesome. So we're going to use a cup of hibiscus tea. This has already been chilled. And I'm going to pour it in a blender.
So to make that, you took the hibiscus flowers that I gave you and you boiled them in water.
Steep them in
the water and then put them in? Or did you boil them?
My husband made this tea, so that's a very good question. You could do it either way. You could pour the boiling water over, which might be better, you know, letting the water come to a boil and then pouring them over and steeping them. And they're this beautiful deep red.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous red.
Almost like beet juice. I mean, I don't know about hibiscus. Oh yes, let me read you something. This tonic is a treat for your heart, brain, and nervous system. It's beautiful, it's pink, and it's delicious. Hibiscus acts as a diuretic. If you eat olives or something really salty one day, this will help you unload some of that extra liquid when you drink it. It has chia seeds, and they have protein, and they're essential fatty acids, so they're good for us. They thicken, they absorb 20 times their own weight, and they help us feel full. So chia seeds are a really good addition. They're good for the brain. It also calls for schizandra powder, which I did not include. It's a lovely red berry, and it has a lot of vitamin C in it, but it's absolutely not essential. So this, that berry reduces stress, fights disease, cleans the liver, beautifies the skin, and covers all three treasures in traditional Chinese medicine: the Jing, the Qi, and the Shen. But that might be for another day.
Yes.
So we're just going to adapt it to what we have on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
I have here this 1 cup of beautiful hibiscus tea, and I'm going to pour in 2 cups of our milk. Funny because my relatives are from England and they like a lot of milk in their tea, but this is a whole lot of milk in their tea. So you see, you've already got a nice, lovely pink color. Pink is the color of love. We're going to put in just a little bit of stevia. Don't need much. You can always add more. Less is more with everything. Instead of using another sweetener, I'm going to put a date in. I've already pitted this. If you don't like dates, you can certainly use coconut sugar. You can use any honey. I don't use honey, so I picked that. It calls for a pinch of cinnamon. So we'll just do a little tiny bit of that. It's kind of strong, I think, cinnamon. And a drop of cayenne powder just to give it a teeny weeny bit of heat. And then we'll use a little bit of chia. So I use these a lot in my smoothies. So maybe a tablespoon or so of chia. We'll drop that in. And we have.
Don't you just, I just want to say to everybody, don't you just want to go sit in her kitchen like, oh my gosh.
She's doing this too. I would be drinking.
I know,
A little bit of pink salt. It's clean. And it calls for some orange extract, but I don't like extract generally. So I just use, I washed an orange, and you can use maybe a little bit of orange zest, or you can use a splash of orange juice.
Put that little tool up. That's a good tool. Show everybody.
Oh, this tool, I've had this. This is a zester. It's a Swiss zester, and I've had it for many years since I had my business, and I just love it. It's so much better. It's made by the people who make Swiss Army knives.
Oh gosh.
And it is hardcore. It will never break. It is worn from love.
Yeah, you can tell it belongs in your hand.
I love it so much. So you could use a vegetable peeler and just take off a piece of this, or again, you could leave it out if you want to. More vitamin C. This will brighten the flavor. You could probably even put in some orange flesh, and that would probably, kick it up a notch too. So I think that's everything. Oh, a little drop of vanilla. So this vanilla is in process. It looks more like booze right now, but there really are beans in there.
You're making your own vanilla.
We just keep refilling it and putting more beans in. Yeah. So a splash of that.
What do you put in there though? Some kind of alcohol?
Vodka.
Right on.
Vodka makes you could use bourbon.
Put some beans in a thing, and then you keep putting vodka in, and you make your.
Right. So this might give this a different meaning, tonic, since we're putting alcohol in it, but it's only a drop, kids.
No, I know, it's okay.
Don't drive after you drink this.
Okay.
All right. So we're just gonna sort of whiz this up again in the blender. Oh, in the blender. Just a quick spin to break up the date. You can see some stuff sort of floating around in there. That might be the chias, maybe another one.
It's just so great. I love watching your kitchen. Oh my goodness. It's just like I thought it would be.
Good. Okay. So there you go. You just poured over some ice, and you have a beautiful pink hibiscus tonic that will be filling and hydrating and give you your vitamin C, and you get the protein from the nut milk.
So what would you have this like in the morning for an afternoon snack? Like, what is the craving that you would say, oh, this is what I'm going to make this? Like, what is it when the body's telling you, what is the feeling your body's telling you when you know you need to make one of these?
Well, I would say you could have this at any point in the day. I think if you wake up hungry, it might take too long to put this together, but you can store it in the fridge for a couple of days. So if you wake up and it's there, you can just shake it up. And
you can keep it in the fridge. Okay.
They'll keep for about 2 days. in a jar or a plastic,
Yeah, I was wondering about the milk in general, the nut milk. How long do you keep that in the fridge?
I keep that for 4 days.
4 days, okay.
You could also freeze it in ice cube trays and drop it into your blender and make smoothies, or just let it melt.
Okay.
So if you can't drink it all by the second day, just throw it in the freezer, in a jar too.
So how did that taste? It's good.
It's awesome. It is awesome.
Yeah.
It tastes like the earth. It tastes like things that grow on the earth.
Yeah.
Tea leaves, orange. The chia makes it a little creamier. The vanilla, the cinnamon gives it a depth and an earthiness, and the cayenne, just the slightest bit of pepper. So I recommend it. I'll include the recipe.
Okay, good. That would be great.
This is Pinky Pink drink, and you have your coffee.
Yes, and our milk.
You can use them all.
Wonderful.
That's groovy.
That's amazing.
See what's next. Okay, next.
I just love seeing you.
Next, we're going to make some food. Because we're not on, I don't think we're on a liquid diet, but you could be.
No, we are not.
Be easy on the body to do a liquid diet. So we were talking and thought that maybe a new product for some of you that I could introduce you to. Maybe some of you have already seen it, experienced it, are in love with it, hopefully. And that is jackfruit. So jackfruit, I got this at Trader Joe's, and this is in brine. Jackfruit it's the largest.
Can you go back a minute? This is important. That is not in brine, or it is?
It is in brine. It will require rinsing.
It will require,
because it has, the littlest bit of salt. So you want to rinse that off.
You really do want to get that back to a neutral flavor before you cook it.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'll just taste like the salt.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hugely salty. It's got 300 milligrams per portion, which is only 13% of your daily.
Okay.
But the brine is not vinegary. It's pretty much water and salt. So you can just put it back in that, in the strainer, which gets a lot of use around here, and just rinse it off. So you can find this at Asian markets. You can probably find it at grocery stores now.
Right, and it's kind of a lot to take it from the fruit itself, right? But sometimes you do that.
I haven't done it. I've seen it. They have it. If you ever go to any of the wonderful Asian markets that we have here, we have stuff fantastic in grocery stores. They will sell either the whole thing or sort of segments of it chopped and plastic wrapped, and you can scoop it out. But this is a major convenience.
Yeah, much easier. Yeah, especially because it's kind of new to use. Okay, great. Wait till you hear what we're doing. Okay. You there?
This might be $2 a can, and it's 20 ounces.
Hold on.
And you can feed several people with this. It's pretty great. So the way that I use it.
Hold on 1 second. Can you hear me?
I can.
Just wait 1 second. Sometimes there's just a delay, and we just have to catch up to each other. Okay, great. Now you're okay, but that's good.
So this is what it looks like when it comes out of the can. It almost looks like a chunk of watermelon, but it's got some weird stuff in it. Like it's got these little things that look like drops, like drops, and it almost looks like tuna, but it's like artichoke. Yeah, it sort of has that texture. You can squeeze the water out of it. I'll rinse this. You can squeeze the water out, and I'll drain that water out because we don't need it. So what I was going to do to show you is that with your hands or with a fork, you can just shred it. It comes apart pretty easily.
Yeah. And
it's not stinky. It looks like tuna fish, but it's not. It doesn't really have much of a smell. It's pretty inoffensive.
That's why it's good. It's good for creating things with, because you can influence it. Yeah.
It tastes like whatever you put it with.
Yeah.
So it has this wonderful tendency to shred, sort of reminding us maybe a little bit of crab meat. And so consequently, jackfruit has been used a lot lately as a crab meat substitute. And I'm going to show you how to make a real easy crab cake with this. It's very satisfying, very low in fat. It doesn't have the cholesterol the crab meat has, or any of the stuff that's floating around in the ocean that crabs, as bottom feeders, tend to ingest. Is a whole lot cheaper. And all you have to do is reach in your pantry. So as long as you have this gold, you're good. Yeah. That's what really gives us the crab cake flavor is Old Bay. So this recipe, we rinse it.
I don't think we actually said, did you say that you were making crab cakes? You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a nice thing. It resembles crab meat so much, and the neutrality of the flavor and the similarity of the texture make it very, very useful as a crab meat replacement. So something I like to do with it is shred it like this, maybe dry it out in the oven for a few minutes or toaster oven, whatever you have, with a little bit of olive oil, and then, take it out and season it with maybe some pepper and some Old Bay, and it's a great like a crab meat substitute if you want to drop it on top of soup or on top of.
I'm going to ask you to move your computer away from you just a little bit because you're getting a little feedback. So, yeah, now talk. I just want to see if.
How's that?
Much better. Yeah, we're just getting a little echo from you. There we go.
Good. So I've shredded the jackfruit. These are just some pieces that I saved from the can. I already have a finished product that I'll show you.
Okay.
So to this, we're going to add, and I'll lower this so you can see what's happening. Okay. So we'll move some of our supplies. How's that? Can you see that?
Perfect. Yes, very professional.
All right. So the recipe had originally called for some steamed and mashed cauliflower, but I already used it to make something else today. So I had to improvise. I had to substitute. What's like cauliflower? Neutral, a little smushy, and you can change the texture. So we had some baby potatoes. So I boiled some of those and I mashed them up with the masher. So I'm going to put those into the jackfruit, and they act as a binder. So you don't have to use breadcrumbs. You don't have to use egg. So these are vegan, but you absolutely could use breadcrumbs, saltines, egg, whatever your traditional crab cake recipe is. So I just used the potato. It calls for some diced red pepper and scallion. You don't have to use this. I think it gives it beautiful color and flavor. Very mild. The scallion and red pepper are so beautiful, and it's also really good for you. All the different colors in our food make it so appealing. A little bit of parsley for a clean flavor. And then we're going to use a little bit of magic. So it called for, I think, maybe half a teaspoon for the whole recipe, but no. We're from Baltimore. We know that's not enough.
Yeah. And to be honest, I have trouble with Old Bay because my blood pressure doesn't like it. So it's a really big flavor down here, and it's really delicious. But you don't necessarily need that particularly. Like you could use, something a little milder.
Absolutely. You can use paprika. You can use cayenne pepper. You can use sriracha.
Yeah.
You can use whatever you want, and always less is more. So add less and taste. And if you want more, you can add more. If you add too much, it's hard to take that out.
Right.
So again, here's a recipe where you can taste it because there's nothing in there that's going to hurt you if you eat it raw.
Right,
so
you eat it raw. That's true. That's great.
So the other binder is fake mayonnaise, or you could use real, of course. And if you don't have mayonnaise in the house, it's really okay. If you have a little bit of avocado, you can smush that up with some lemon juice and throw that in. It's a great substitute.
That does sound good.
Yeah, it's real easy to do. This is a recipe that really invites substitution. I mean, you don't have to use any of this stuff. You could use red onion. You could use cilantro. You could use lemongrass. You could make it Mexican. You could put black beans in it or cheese, whatever you like. So this company again, I'm not shilling for them, but they do have a really good product. They make fake egg out of mung beans, and it makes a dynamite omelet. But this is their mayo. So we'll do a little squirt of this in here, maybe a tablespoon, and then I like to use my hands because why not?
Yeah.
You get everything.
Yeah, like a crab cake. The first time I came to Baltimore, I made crab cakes thinking I would show them, right? I had no idea. And I used imitation crab. And my neighbor, she pulled me inside and she said, look, clearly you're a really good cook. So this, please don't take this wrong, but I have to show you how to make crab cakes, because you cannot serve imitation crab to Baltimore people. They will not be your friend.
Oh, that's so funny. That's so
But I
funny.
can probably serve this now. I can get away with
Yeah.
jackfruit.
So here's where we are.
Wow.
It's come together nicely. The recipe calls for, I don't know if you've ever seen this, coconut flour. Coconut
Oh,
flour
yeah.
is a really nice gluten-free flour. It absorbs a tremendous amount of water. So you only use a little bit. So we're going to just put in maybe a little less than a tablespoon. And you do that at the end, and that will bind it really nicely.
Mm.
So this is an awesome recipe for people who might have gluten intolerance or who don't want to have something really heavy.
Wow.
Because all those breadcrumbs can
Yeah.
really go down. So what we have is this wonderful mixture, and you can wet your hands to have it, be a little less messy. It
Yeah.
makes a really pretty crab cake.
That is a beautiful crab cake. And will you actually bake it? Get it
So
crispy?
yeah, you can saute
Yeah.
it. I sauteed it in a little bit of olive oil, both sides, stuck it in the oven for 10 minutes, 375, and I'll wash my hands and show you what they look like.
We need to see your face again.
Good stuff.
It's amazing. It's so we really are in the midst of a food revolution, aren't we? Look at that.
Fortunately, yay. So here's what they look like. They hold up nicely. I made minis because we
Yeah.
have finger food today.
Yeah.
You can make a larger one too, and you can dip them.
Oh, the dip sauces are so fun, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like a sriracha mayonnaise with this,
me
but
too.
you could certainly use tartar sauce.
Mhm.
You could put these on top of a salad and break them up. You
Yeah,
could lay them inside of an omelet and smush them down and have crab cakes in your omelet. Um,
right.
However you ordinarily
Yeah,
eat.
I've had the jackfruit like in corn tortilla, like a pork instead of a pork.
Mm,
So this could be Mexican very quickly and be used in a tortilla, don't you think? If
I
you
think it'd be great.
yeah, you
It'd be
just season it
delightful with any
differently.
salsa. Yeah,
Yeah, and even as like a sandwich, because here people like to have crab cake sandwiches, but it'd make a great sandwich substitute too. Yeah,
absolutely. Any way
that
that
looks
you
really good.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
really
I
nice.
have for you 3 drinks and some cakes. And I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions or
Yeah, well, I will make sure I get the ingredients written down and added. And I really, I want to thank you. I did kind of talk a little bit about, if you're okay for a few more minutes, yes? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I did talk a little bit about boundaries with food. I think one of the things that holds people back sometimes from eating clean is that they're not comfortable speaking up in a restaurant, or they're not comfortable speaking up in someone's home. There are some tricks I think you naturally do so that you can like move and navigate through the world and still kind of retain your relationship with food, right? So what's some of the what's something that I think you would do in a situation in someone's home or a restaurant so that you keep your boundaries with the food intact and you still really feel comfortable?
well, I think today, if you were going to ask for something different or have a different kind of dietary focus or way of eating, it's the best time. It's the best it's ever been because restaurants expect it. Whenever we get back to restaurants, they expect people to say, "I don't want this. I can't tolerate that." They are way more accommodating than they used to be. So maybe it starts with being okay and feeling like it's all right to take up space and ask for what we want. So
Right.
it goes back to maybe a little bit of, grounding and taking care of ourselves and realizing that our needs matter.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like I could eat just about any place, even a steakhouse, and
Yeah.
still get, something decent. Many times when you go somewhere, the person who's cooking will want that challenge. Oh,
Yeah.
we have a vegan at table 12. Let me make something great for them.
Right.
So I'll do that sometimes and say, hey, I don't eat meat. What can you make me? As long as it doesn't have, hello, there he is. As
Oh,
long as it
there's a
doesn't
bird.
have,
Hello, bird.
like, I'm not a huge beet lover. As long as it doesn't have beets in it, I'm good. You can do anything else. And
Okay.
usually something amazing will come out that I never expected, and it's just glorious. So I guess on a lesser scale, if you're going to somebody's house, you can let them know ahead of time.
Yeah.
Hey, I can't eat this, or you can bring something of your own and not feel
Yeah. I wanted to just mention that when I was a vegetarian, one of the things that helped me, well, when I went to a restaurant, I would look at actually the sides on the menu, and I would order sometimes a few sides on a plate, and people were usually really envious of that because some of the sides in the restaurants are just wonderful dishes and they're kind of overlooked. But the other thing I did was typically I bring food when I go somewhere. And when I was a vegetarian, I was even more aware of that because I knew at least there was one thing that I was going to have, that I knew I had made. And I do notice with people who are a little newer to really having to protect their bodies from food that they're really sensitive to, that they do get a little overwhelmed in certain situations, like in restaurants and in people's homes, when they don't come with anything prepared. And when they have this expectation that the person is going to really understand like all the nuances of what that means for them, and so like I noticed that you were really good about taking care of yourself when you came. Even though most of my events are vegetarian, there is a difference between the vegetarian and the vegan, and it does need to be like talked about. But you always came with your arms full, so you always came fully prepared for what with what you needed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I took care of myself because I love to eat and I love to feed people. So I would usually make some large amount of something, and if it didn't get eaten, we would eat it. So it
They
wasn't
could bring it home and you would eat it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the best case scenario would be that somebody would be willing to try something they'd never had before,
Right.
and that's a way to join, and that's a way to to explore our world through food.
Yeah.
In the best possible way, being curious, being open.
And you also have a partner who is a wonderful cook, and you share that together. You share in the cooking and the exploring and the trying of new things together as well. Yeah. Is
He
there,
is
is
intuitive.
there, say it again?
He's a very intuitive cook. He does. I'm a big recipe user. He can just say, "This is the flavor I want," and go make. I mean, we have cabinets full of spices and all kinds of different condiments, and oh yeah, the bird says yes. So we make a lot of our own things, salsas and sauces, and just getting the flavor that we want. And I mean, eating in restaurants these days is, well, not happening, but going out to eat doesn't really thrill me because I love what we make at home so much more.
Yeah. Yeah. And my kids will say that they're like, Mom, it's kind of hard sometimes when we know you could just whip it up at home, and it comes from a place that's, healthier as well. So the other what? Made with love. Yeah. And also that the thing that people also I think have trouble with is that it does take time, and you're willing to try things and them not taste well and work on them. I mean, that's part of your exploration of food and your joy of food, right? That you don't always make things that taste that great right off the bat.
No, there are some duds for sure. But it's okay because if we don't love the way it tastes, we try to doctor it up or turn it into something else. Oh, that didn't work. That was a mess. Let's put it over pasta. Let's put it in a potato.
That's great.
Make soup out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, good. And so is there any time that you can think of where you really really just had to like shut it down and just walk away, like walk out of the restaurant or walk out of someone's home, or you feel like you're pretty, and if you've ever had to, you knew to do that, it was okay, that you would be able to eat later, that it just wasn't worth it. But have you ever been that triggered by something and offended by something?
Somebody's home does not come to mind. There may be, for a long time, I didn't eat bread. It just made me feel really tired, and I went off it for a long time. And Jewish, I love bagels. I bake a lot of bread, but it felt amazing to not eat that stuff. So sometimes I would go places and there were a lot of carbs and not much green.
Yeah.
So I might eat a little bit, and but it's okay for me to eat a little bit. I don't have to have a large quantity.
Right.
Somebody's got to have an apple or something. It used to be about the food most of the time, but as I've gotten older, it's just not about the food. The food is something to do while you're being with everyone.
Right.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Restaurants, with the advent of Yelp and that you can check out what you're getting before you go,
Right.
it doesn't really happen anymore. I think maybe a couple of times, but I had to sort of be with myself and relax and realize, it's going to be okay.
Right.
This will be fine. This will be fine. So letting go.
You always know you can go home and take care of yourself because you always have things that are at home. Yeah. So last thing, and then I'll let you go eat your crab cakes with your family. Um, what are the places you do like to go when you want to go out and eat or order from? What are some places that you really appreciate in Baltimore that you've been supporting?
Well, a total shout out to Eki Ben. I love, love, love Eki Ben. If you haven't been,
How do you spell that? EK.
Ekien, Eki Ben. And I believe it's like Thai or Vietnamese street food. And there's one on 36th Street in Hamden, and there's one on Eastern Avenue in Fells Point, and it is extraordinary. So, for example, I get it's called the tofu bra, BRAH, like a lacrosse bra, not
Okay.
like a bra.
Yeah.
And it's fried tofu with a magnificent peanut sauce. And then the sides are pickled daikon radish, which are these beautiful cubes of crunchy deliciousness filled with, hydrating fluids, these veggies, and then maybe pickled red onions and a slaw made of carrots. And oh, the flavors just meld so beautifully. We love them. Um, so that's junk food vegan, and then other junk food vegan is down the street, and that's Golden West because they have magnificent tater tots and really good vegan dipping sauces.
Golden West. Okay.
Yes, they have great stuff, and they have a whole vegan menu. And then there's also a place that we found that's only open on Fridays and Saturdays down in Pigtown called the Greener Kitchen. And it's an
Okay.
incubator for other vegan businesses. And they
Wow.
make magnificent vegan pizza. It is out of sight.
Really?
Yeah. Our house, I think, has just reopened.
Oh,
And
good. Yeah, I love the cauliflower there at the stall 21. I hope it reopens because that cauliflower is
the
insane.
cauliflower is so addictive.
It's
They're
insane.
reopened, I think you can pick up. And now they're called STEM Kitchen.
Okay.
They
Yeah,
changed it.
they made all the big Buddha bowls now. They have it going on there. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good spot too. There are so many good places to try.
There are.
Really are.
There's too many to
Yeah,
name.
and
And
next week we're going to be doing the Treehouse Cafe, which is in Hampton, with
oh,
Cherie
good.
Peterson. So I don't know if you've been there, but they have some great stuff there. Yeah, that's worth
They
trying with
do.
your family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you are amazing, and I missed you. And Stacey's one of those people. Like when she was about to walk out the door, I always tend to like grab her hand, like, "Can I ask you something?" She just has so much knowledge and so much experience, and I've always just enjoyed being with you. And thank you for sharing this with me today. And
Oh,
my sad day is no longer sad.
well, I can
Feel
bring you
better
some
now.
goodies.
Well, yeah, my sister's here, but man, when she leaves, I don't know. I might need some company. She's been so helpful, but yeah, 6 weeks not moving very much. Not my style, but I am gonna get through it. What?
Aquatherapy.
Yes, aqua therapy. Yes. Okay. Well, I had good Stacey therapy today, so thank you. Thanks for
My
letting
boy.
us in your kitchen, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye, honey.
Bye.
Thanks.